We would love to thank Jill Kettrey Starks for today's video suggestion. Today, we will begin a new series that will focus on the Appalachians who made a difference in our culture. Today's focus is on Jean Ruth Ritchie, who is often called the mother of folk. Her contributions led to the revival of folk music and culture, and her love of the people of the Appalachians led to her using music to educate others about who we are as the Appalachian people. All aboard the Kentucky Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger time machine to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. The early days. Jean Ruth Ritchie was born on December 8, 1922 in Viper, Perry County, Kentucky, to Ballas Wilmer Ritchie Sr. and Abigail Abby Hall Ritchie. Her family was very musical and would sing old songs during family time or while sitting on the porch with her family. The Ritchies of Perry County and the Combs family from Knott County were very celebrated folk singers by the folk scholars. Jean's father, Ballas, had printed in 1910 or 1911 a book of songs titled Lover's Melodies. This book was filled with songs that were popular in Hindman, Kentucky at that time. His collection included songs such as Jackaroo, Lord Thomas and Fair Ellender, False Sir John and May Colvin, and Little Musgrave. However, playing the dulcimer was far more enjoyable to Ballas than singing. Jean attended Hyman Settlement School. This school encouraged the children to embrace their cultural heritage. She then furthered her education and graduated high school in Viper. Jean attended Cumberland Junior College in Williamsburg, Kentucky. She graduated Phi Beta Kappa with a Bachelor's of Arts in Social Work from the University of Kentucky in 1946. World War II in New York. During World War II, Ritchie taught elementary school while she was still in Kentucky. While working, Jean recorded traditional songs with her sisters Edna, Kitty, and Pauline by Emily Barnacle and artist Moser. Sometime after graduation, Ritchie moved to New York. Sometime in 1950, Jean Ritchie met and married George Picot. She and George Picot had two sons, Peter and Jonathan. While working as a social worker at Henry Street Settlement on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, she would play the Appalachian songs that she brought with her. They were songs that were brought to the shores of the United States by immigrants from British and Irish Isles and passed down from generation to generation. And during this time, she would write her own music. Ritchie's environmental views were ahead of her time as she wrote songs about the topics that were going on back in the Appalachian Mountains. Black Water is a song about strip mining and how the industry was polluting the water and ruining the forested areas and beautiful mountainsides. The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore was about how the coal trains stopped coming through the small towns and how the closing of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad train run caused a lot of unemployment and hurt the local economies that depended upon the people traveling on the trains. Jean Ritchie played the dulcimer and would operate a small dulcimer making business with her husband George. Ritchie's reputation soon began to grow as she would sing at social gatherings. As the word of mouth soon began to spread, Ritchie would have opportunities to become friends with prominent folk singers. In the 1950s, Ritchie became part of the Greenwich Village folk sing. Ritchie was able to sing and share the stage with other famous artists such as Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, Oscar Brand, and Alex Lomax. Also, during this time in her life, she became a regular guest singer on the Oscar Brand's Folk Song Festival radio show. Mother of Folk. Because of her love for the Appalachian Mountains and the way that she taught others about the Appalachian culture, Jean Ritchie was given the name the Mother of Folk. As part of her educating others about the truth of the American Appalachian hillbilly, Ritchie would share stories, songs, and would keep the mountain traditions alive through using this form of art. In 1951, Alex Lomax, who was a folklorist, convinced Ritchie to record an extensive collection of songs for the Library of Congress. In 1955, Ritchie wrote and published a songbook or memoir of her life growing up in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. One of her main points was how the culture of the mountains people was based on singing. She is credited with the revival of the interest of the dulcimer by the New York Times. However, the preservation of these songs have been credited to her as the most important work. Many singers still perform and record these songs to this day. During this time, Ritchie recorded songs on a major record labels as well as her own label named Green Haze Recordings. Accomplishments. Before her death, Ritchie had managed to record more than 30 albums and authored 7 books about folk music and her family. Added to these accomplishments were fellowships and awards. They included the Fulbright Fellowship. Ritchie received the National Endowment for the Arts, Best Lomax Hall National Heritage Fellowship, and the Folk Alliance Lifetime Achievement Award. Ritchie influenced a lot of other artists. Johnny Cash, for example, did a cover of her song, The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore. Other artists of that generation of singers who credit Jean Ritchie as one of their musical influences are Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, and Joan Baez. In 1996, Mountain Born, the Jean Ritchie story, was a biographical documentary film released by the Kentucky Educational Television. There are links in the description box for anyone interested in watching the movie. Jean Ritchie suffered a stroke in early December 2009. The stroke impaired her ability to speak, but she was able to recover her speaking ability to some degree. After George's death, Ritchie moved back to Berea, Kentucky in 2010. Ritchie died on June 1st, 2015, at the age of 92 at her residence. Thank you. Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the outstanding Appalachian people. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.